My roommate just flipped out on me via text over a coffee mug. Yup, you read that right, a coffee mug. My former house guest texted me 11 times about a spatula. By the end of the week, he'd lost his car, his housing, and every favor he was owed. I want to be clear that I am a reasonable person. I don't chase conflict. When our house guest Brendan finally moved out after 4 months of what was supposed to be 6 weeks, I made a conscious decision to let go of the missing things, the unreturned promises, the particular audacity of someone who treated our home like a hotel with worse reviews. I let it go. I was proud of myself for letting it go. But then I went to pick up a casserole dish from my friend Pam's place and saw my Le Creuset spatula on her counter. For context, Le Creuset spatulas are not cheap. This one was a gift from my mother-in-law, orange, with a small chip on the handle from the time I dropped it on the tile. I know every mark on it the way you know the things in your own kitchen. Brendan had borrowed it once to make something during his stay, and I'd watched him put it in his bag when he left and told myself it was an accident, and I was not going to make it weird. I picked it up off Pam's counter and said casually, "Tell Brendan I'm taking this back," and walked out with the casserole dish in one hand and my spatula in the other. His first text arrived before I got home. He said the spatula was his. He said he'd had it for years. He said it was a gift. He said I should return it to Pam immediately, and he couldn't believe I would just take something that belonged to him without asking. I texted back that it had a chip on the handle from my tile floor, and my mother-in-law's gift receipt was probably still somewhere in my email. He said chips happen to all spatulas. 8 more texts arrived in the following hour. He escalated from confused to indignant to what I can only describe as philosophically offended, as though the spatula had become a referendum on his entire character. He started texting my husband simultaneously asking if we marked our kitchen items, and when my husband said yes, Brendan somehow interpreted this as a betrayal. My husband forwarded me the exchange with a single question mark. I stopped responding after text 3. Not out of strategy, I just genuinely ran out of things to say to someone arguing that a chipped Le Creuset spatula they'd had for years was not the chipped Le Creuset spatula sitting on my counter with my mother-in-law's preferred color in orange. The next part I didn't orchestrate. I want to be clear about that. Miss Pam, who had been watching Brendan's behavior from a closer distance than us, apparently had her own list of grievances that the spatula incident uncorked. She asked him to leave by end of month. He announced he was leaving anyway, immediately moving back to his parents, and made his exit by reversing his car into her fence post on the way out. And he didn't mention the fence post. 3 days later, my husband got a call. Brendan's car had broken down 40 minutes away. He needed a ride. My husband was loading our kids into the car for a previously planned trip and explained this. Brendan said he was basically on the way. He was technically on the way. Getting him home and back would have added an hour minimum. My husband told him to call roadside assistance, which Brendan had because I had helped him set it up 18 months ago when he first got the car. Brendan called every person we knew in sequence, offering each one a different reason why roadside assistance specifically would not work in his situation. Nobody went. The roadside assistance eventually came, towed the car the 10 free miles included in his plan, and a driver took him the remaining distance to Pam's house, which he was supposed to have vacated but hadn't yet because the fence post situation had apparently complicated things. He called my husband twice more that week asking for help diagnosing the car. My husband, who spent 6 years as a mechanic before his current job and who is genuinely the most patient man I know, told Brendan he wasn't interested in doing favors for someone who'd spent 11 texts calling his wife a thief over a kitchen utensil. Brendan said he didn't appreciate valuable items being taken from him without permission. My husband said that was a reasonable position and asked when he'd be dropping off the items still unaccounted for from our kitchen, and whether the address for the outstanding rent was still his parents' place. We haven't heard from him since. The spatula is back in the drawer where it belongs. Orange. Chipped handle. Mine. I'm very glad I let everything else go when he left. I have excellent emotional boundaries. The spatula was a different matter entirely.